get up and do it again. Who gon' stop me? Every time I get in the ring, feel like Rocky. I be the greatest, they be complaining. Who gon' stop me? I'm locked in, a whole nother level, no one can top me. I'm about to get up and do it again. Who gon' stop me? I got my soldiers, I'm ready for battle. Taking what's mine, nobody can have it. I'ma keep winning and turn to a habit. Call me Chris Angel, I make it look magical. I made the beat and I eat it like Hannibal. Don't got a label, I still got a capital. They not competing with me, I move tactical. Everything I do is effortless. Surrounded by snakes and a lot of them venomous. I never be putting myself in positions where somebody give me the relevance. I'm calling the plays like I'm LBJ. If they don't do enough, they getting traded. They call me bro, but we not related. I got my day ones that I celebrate with. Who gon' stop me? Every time I get in the ring, feel like Rocky. I be the greatest, they be complaining. Who gon' stop me? I'm locked in, a whole nother level, no one can top me. I'm about to get up and do it again. Who gon' stop me? Every time I get in the ring, feel like Rocky. I be the greatest, they be complaining. Who gon' stop me? I'm locked in, a whole nother level, no one can top me. I'm about to get up and do it again. Who gon' stop me? I put the food on my plate, I'ma savor it. I don't leave nothing behind, like I'm the one catering. My soul for the money, won't trade it in. Already know that it's bigger than me. Never gon' follow, I'm always gon' lead. Never gon' miss like Curry for 3. Never gon' fall like all of the leaves in the autumn. I got the whole industry calling. They wondering how I've been doing these numbers. I told them that people be talking. And I put the studio inside the crib, so I don't ever go clocking. All of my weapons, they been getting sharper. Life getting tough, so I gotta go harder. Who gon' stop me? Every time I get in the ring, feel like Rocky. I be the greatest, they be complaining. Who gon' stop me? I'm locked in, a whole nother level, no one can top me. I'm about to get up and do it again. Who gon' stop me? Every time I get in the ring, feel like Rocky. I be the greatest, they be complaining. Who gon' stop me? I'm locked in, a whole nother level, no one can top me. I'm about to get up and do it again. Who gon' stop me? I've been in my zone, know it's my time. I've been balling on the low, don't care about what they say, and I heard it all before. Living out my dreams, I won't ever let them go. I won't ever let them go.
I've been in my zone, I know it's my time. I've been balling on the low, don't care about what they say, and I heard it all before. Living out my dreams, I will never let them go. I will never let them go.
Just touched down in the 305, got an ocean view where I reside. I'm trying to cop a new Lamborghini. When I open doors, they suicide. I'm too alive, got back to work, no wasting time. I'm never letting anybody pass. My only moves are what I decide. I told them that I've been the one. Hop on the beat and the damage is done. They cannot catch me, I've been on the run. Whatever I dream, I'm making it come. True to myself, don't care what they say. I beat the game, now they wanna play. Out in LA, but never went Hollywood. I'm feeling dominant every day, yeah. I've been in my zone, know it's my time. I've been balling on the low, don't care about what they say, and I heard it all before. Living out my dreams, I won't ever let them go. I won't ever let them go.
I've been in my zone, I know it's my time. I've been balling on the low, don't care about what they say, and I heard it all before. Living out my dreams, I will never let them go. I will never let them go. I've been at it for a hot minute, yeah, I'm locked in it, yeah, I'm authentic. Coming up clutch, fourth quarter, even when the clock's ticking. On the road to riches, my foot on the pedal, I'm never gonna settle. I'm on a new level, I'm beating the devil, heat up like a kettle. In silver or gold, I'm getting a medal, I gotta believe it. And if I believe it, then I will achieve it. I live what I'm dreaming, the reason I'm dreaming, I'm keeping the meaning, the passion, the drive, I gotta receive it. I know that I've been in my zone, yeah, know that I've been in my zone. I've been living out my dreams, I won't never let them go, yeah.
I've been in my zone, know it's my time. I've been balling on the low, don't care about what they say, and I heard it all before. Living out my dreams, I won't ever let them go. I won't ever let them go.
I've been in my zone, I know it's my time. I've been balling on the low, don't care about what they say, and I heard it all before. Living out my dreams, I will never let them go. I will never let them go.
Dear God, tell me who can I call when times get hard? Can you take some of this weight off of my shoulders before I fall? Dear God, know you're trying to just make me stronger than the rest. Can you send a sign just to let me know that it's worth it in the end? Dear God, ayy, feel like I'm being tested. Lately I gotta expect it. Wondering if you're gonna send me a message. Living that life for the young and restless. No days off, I've been too invested. Can't complain about the life I was blessed with. I got people depending on my checks, I gotta accept it. Nothing that happens is random, know that you're keeping me safe. But lately I feel like I'm being abandoned. I need a sign to help me understand. Show me the light at the end of the tunnel, cause right now I feel like you're leaving me stranded. Help me God, if you can hear me, I know that you already got something planned. Dear God, tell me who can I call when times get hard? Can you take some of this weight off of my shoulders before I fall? Dear God, know you're trying to just make me stronger than the rest. Can you send a sign just to let me know that it's worth it in the end? Dear God, when I get knocked down, I'ma get back up and make sure I go win again. Only got one life and I can't fight time, gotta make sure that I'm living it. All that talk on the internet, not real life, so I don't think twice when skimming it. Even in hard times, I'ma make sure I fight back, not giving in. I do not have any quit in me, no matter what happens, I get a victory. Came from the bottom, remember it vividly. I know that God on my side, so nothing can finish me. The battle is part of the war, I'm ready for more, I'll never concede. Even if I'm at rock bottom, I'm never accepting defeat. Dear God, tell me who can I call when times get hard? Can you take some of this weight off of my shoulders before I fall? Dear God, know you're trying to just make me stronger than the rest. Can you send a sign just to let me know that it's worth it in the end? Dear God. I wanna be great, I never been average. Every day I'm living it lavish, one of a kind, I'm reaching the masses. They wanna race, I'm moving the fastest, get out my way. I'm too competitive, I'll never settle for anything less. I put my foot on the pedal, my foot on their neck, and I don't have no time to rest. I'm going Monday to Monday, I've been on the grind. Still on the journey, I'm taking my time. Come for the king, but they cut in the line. Nobody taking what's meant to be mine. I gotta go and put them in their place. Been on a roll like I got a race. Climbing my way to the top of the hill, been at it so long, fell in love with the chase. I'ma refill like a reload, all grown up, I'm killing my ego. Beating the game, no cheat code. Been getting that bread like I'm Gambino. What they all do not better than me though. Went from a kid to a CEO. Check my account and I count 6 zeros. Put in that work and I get what I'm owed, yeah. Step in the ring and I go undefeated. I still got that dog in me, I gotta feed it. They not on my level, they all be beneath it. It's been in my blood, but they be anemic. The way that I made it, they thinking I cheated. I never let jealousy happen to me, cause I always keep winning.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friday. We made it. I'm so excited to be here, and here's what I love: our chat. I love the chats across all the platforms, but the guys in Twitch chat are absolutely phenomenal. Like we've got people, like it's funny to see first time chatters in chat introducing themselves for the first time, and then you've got folks like Dosco, who's been here for a year, Sonic, who came from EMS, is now over in security, and you got Frazier, who's been here for almost 4, if not 5 years. Who has quite literally 10x'd himself in his career since being here. It's been absolutely amazing to see the folks that we've got in this channel, folks we've got in this community, and just watching your careers grow has been absolutely amazing. So it's always great to see everybody. Cheers, happy Friday to you. Welcome to Cyber Insecurity. If this is your first time here, I always appreciate seeing the first time chatters in chat. Thanks so very much for taking the opportunity to break out of your shell and say hey. God, my brain is frazzled this morning. My brain is frazzled. I just had one of those things. I just had one of those Brian moments where my Brian brain wanted to say 10 things all at once. Yes, my coffee is almost gone. I'm about halfway through this mug of coffee. Let's try to make it through the intro really quick, and then I'll bruh myself a few times. Holy cow, we got a residual this early in the morning? Were you up all night? Welcome to Friday morning Cyber Insecurity AMA. My name is Neal Bridges. Thank you for joining me this morning. If this is your first time with us, thank you so very much for joining us. I promise you will not be disappointed in this stream or any of our streams that we have here on the Cyber Insecurity channel. Thank you so very much. If you're experienced, you've been here for a hot minute. Love to know that you appreciate the pain and suffering that you endure by being with me. Thank you so very much for tuning in with us. It's so good to see everybody. Real quick reminder early on, I absolutely appreciate every single one of our lurkers. I do not mind our lurkers at all whatsoever. Twitch, however, has changed their viewership metrics, where if you have me open in multiple tabs, and you are a lurker with me in the background, Twitch does not count your viewership for my metrics. Now, I'm not a metrics chaser. I don't care whether I've got 10 views or a million views. But if you're so inclined, it does help us out to make yourself known. And so I do appreciate it. We saw a considerable viewership increase last week due to the sheer number of people in chatting. And so if you're so inclined, and again, there's no compulsion to, there's no requirement on my part. I'll still love you and I'll still give you all the advice that's inside of my head. But if you are compelled to, please make sure you have our tab open, easily visible. Don't have it buried up underneath 1,000 tabs, and drop in a chat every once in a while just to let Twitch know that you are still watching. With that being said, we do have just one rule. Honestly, I think we've buried it down to just kind of like one ultimate rule, right? Which is like, don't be an asshole. I mean, like, there's a difference between like being beard level asshole, but don't be an asshole to your fellow cybersecurity professionals, right? No racist, sexist, misogynistic, elitist, or otherwise toxic behavior on this channel. We have a zero tolerance policy for that. We do love civil discourse. We absolutely encourage to chat with each other, regardless of the platform that you're tuning into us on, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, X, or Twitch. We do absolutely 100% welcome you to chat, or encourage you to chat with your fellow cybersecurity professionals in those channels. We do have moderators in all of the chat. Huge shout, huge cheers to all of our moderators who tune in tirelessly to help make sure the chat is free of any sexist, racist, misogynistic, elitist, or otherwise toxic behavior. They're not here, however, to stifle chat in any way, shape, or form. This is our Friday morning AMA. AMA stands for Ask Me Anything. We have multiple streams throughout the week. We have our Gone Fishing on Monday. We've got Daily Cyber on Wednesday. We usually got our threat briefs on Monday. This is our opportunity outside of those thematic streams to come in here together as a group and for you guys to literally ask me about anything. Quite literally anything. You gonna push your own question up on the screen? So people can see how awesome it is that we got moderators who grab questions and push questions up on the screen. Ask your question at any point in time. Our moderators do grab questions from across all of the platforms, put them into a huge giant queue, and then at times throughout the stream, we will push them up on screen and we will answer them. Oftentimes they'll lead to soapboxes, tangents, who knows what type of rabbit hole we get down with the questions. What types of questions are acceptable, you may ask? Quite literally anything. We've had everybody ask me about my cancer journey, my Jeep mods, the way the gym is coming out, my current golf game, my status of my cancer, and of course, tons of cybersecurity and AI content related stuff. If this is your first time here, your first time tuning into us, I have well over 20 plus years in this experience. I'm a former hacker for the NSA, although I rarely ever talk about it. And yes, that joke will never get old. I don't care. Have been a CISO several times, worked for consulting companies. I got a little bit of experience in the space. So happy to answer any and all questions you may have, including the trolling questions from Frazier. Did you return the industrial heater you got? It is sitting downstairs waiting to be packed up and taken to the Amazon drop point. Why? All right, you know what? Why? Why, Neal? Why? Because God, there's a lot that I want to answer on that one. This was one of those cases where there was like bad Neal and good Neal. Bad Neal had a really good answer. But Bad Neal can't say this answer on stream. Good Neal says, why, Beard? Because you are a special snowflake and AI is going to take over the world. Beard has determined that AI is the required conversation topic for the day. So whenever you talk to BeardSec today, make sure you mention AI in a sentence. He told me in the green screen that AI needed to be a part of AI in every sentence. Did you return the industrial heater? Not yet. Working on it. It's actually hanging out downstairs, waiting to be sent back over to Amazon. You guys missed a fun chat. You guys missed a fun chat in Discord. Where I was. Listen, I make no qualms about it. I'm not overall a handyman, right? Like I've been banned from doing my own home modifications because I have quite literally destroyed things in the house trying to do it all myself. It has not gone well at all for me to do my own home projects. And so we're converting one of the garage bays into a gym. And so as part of that, listen, it's North Carolina. We moved from Chicago, so it's not like it ever gets Chicago level cold down here. But listen, it's 30 degrees in that garage bay. That's a little painful to work out in. I don't care how dedicated you are to the cause. And so I did. I bought a heater. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'm just gonna go to Amazon and I'm gonna look for these garage type heaters that you can hang down from the top of the garage. Well, I bought it. And then the electrician's giving me this crap because of the thing that I bought, and I'm thinking the electrician's crazy. So what do? I do what any good citizen does is I go to my community of degens on Discord and be like, hey, my electrician's telling me that this is a bad idea. What do you random people on the internet think about this idea? Apparently they all agree with the electrician, and apparently I overkilled the purchase just a little bit. Apparently, I bought a heater that was required to heat an entire 5,000 square foot warehouse. My bad. I was just trying to be thorough, okay? I was just trying to be thorough. I don't know what the common amperage is on a house. I just saw heater, big, must be warm, zug zug buy. I'm getting the riot act read to me in my ear. Oh God. So I may have overcooked the heater slightly. That's the if you know on that story a little bit. There is apparently I overcooked the heater a little bit. YouTube says, come on, Rocky trained in Siberia by Woodburner. I'm not Rocky, y'all. Listen, the reason I chose professional golf as my hobby, right, was because I don't have to train like Rocky. I can still be somewhat of a computer nerd and be a golfer at the same time. So no, there will be no training in Siberia for this guy. Listen, you can't even get me out there to play golf when the temperature drops below 50. When the temperature drops below 50, I'm like, yep, I'm so glad I got a simulator. When are we having an anniversary stream? That's a fantastic idea. I don't think we've ever in 5 years ever done an anniversary stream. It's been 5 years of streaming, and I don't think we've ever done an anniversary stream. I don't know. Maybe. When is our? That's a great question. When is our anniversary when I started streaming, or is our anniversary when we got big? Right? When is our? I don't know. I don't even know when our anniversary would be. Do I just pick a random date? Is it when Beard joined? Is it when Frazier joined? Is it when we got our first mod? Who knows? Beard anniversary. I've been to Milwaukee. I lived in Milwaukee for a number of years. I spent from 2003 until 2021. I was in Milwaukee, Chicago, Ann Arbor area. So I spent a good amount of time up in there, only to say that I will never, ever, ever in a million years do that ever again. I might give something away if people can remember when this happened. Like there are only a handful of people that actually remember this right here. There are even fewer that have pictures of it. Even fewer that have pictures of it. But pictures do exist. Pepperidge Farm always remembers. All right, with that being said, I usually kick off with some stories that I've aggregated over the week. I usually go through and try to, I understand there's a lot to take in our industry. There's a lot of stuff that goes on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis in our industry. Speaking of week-to-week basis, you realize that we have one full working week left in the year? One full working week left in the year. I cannot believe that 2025 is about to come to an end. But anyway, I usually try to spend a little while aggregating what I think are some important trends for the week, some important kind of notes that I've seen through my, crossings, if you will, across the internet. This is different than kind of like what we talk about on Mondays with our threat streams. This is less about kind of rehashing the threat stream stuff as much as it is with just kind of some of the interesting things. I'm always telling you guys to pay attention to the news, to pay attention to like what's happening in the world around us. That's more so that you're aware of just how the macroeconomic factors in our world affect your job growth. They affect how easy or how challenging it is for you to get a job in this space. They affect if you're faced with a layoff, or if you're trying to go vie for promotion, just so you understand that. There was an interesting statement. So if you're not aware, this week was huge for the economy in the sense that this was the last Fed meeting for the year, happened on Wednesday, where they decided interest rates. Now, why are interest rates important? Why is Neal talking about interest rates on a cyber stream? Interest rates help drive business growth. If interest rates are high, businesses are less inclined to take risk because they have to borrow money to take risk, and they'll have to pay on that interest, just like you do when you go buy something with interest rates. And so they're less likely to grow. They're less likely to invest. They're more likely to cut headcount, right? Because of it. And so interest rates are super important. This is what I talk about when I talk about like paying attention to the economy helps you understand which way the wind is blowing. Well, we've had a rough go at it from an interest rate perspective. We've only seen I think 2 cuts this year from an interest rate perspective. We saw our last Fed chair meeting on Wednesday for 2025, and Chairman Powell made an interesting statement. And it's interesting because here on this channel, we've talked a ton about AI. We've mentioned AI's impact, right? We've mentioned AI's impact on cybersecurity. And we've even seen some weird headlines around AI layoffs, right? We've seen CrowdStrike come through and say, we laid off XXX number of people. Part of that was due to the use of AI. I've had clips here on this stream where I've had like the Salesforce CEO talk about 50% of their organization is run by AI, and other things. Chairman Powell, as part of his rate cut, said, and I quote, that AI is not a big part of the story in the labor market right now. Which I thought was interesting. That kind of shows a little bit of that difference between maybe some of what the public hears, the public sees, the public interprets from these layoffs that we've seen this year, but what its ultimate fiscal impact is to the macro economy. Exactly. It's a very interesting comment. I went and I dug through it a little bit, and Powell's comment is related to a couple of things, right? He was looking at, obviously, headcount cut, but he was also looking at it in terms of investment into infrastructure. And so, apparently there's, if we've talked a little bit on stream before a couple times, that the Fed has this unusual obsession with needing high employment rates to drive interest rate cuts down. So there's a combination of, is the Fed looking at AI's impact on that ultimate unemployment number, or is the Fed looking at AI's impact to corporate spend to see if corporate spend is driving the numbers that it needs to? And so I think that there's still a little bit of yes, there's a lot of hype cycle talk. Like if you've ever seen the Gartner hype cycle curve, we're still very much on the beginning precipice. I know it's hard to believe. I'll take a moment. I know it's hard to believe that with everything we hear about AI, we just had an OpenAI release literally yesterday to 5.2. Gemini had one last week, right, that really shook up everybody, or 2 weeks ago, whenever that was. I know that the hype is all around us, but we are still super early in the hype cycle for this, and apparently it's not yet having the economic impact that I think a lot of people are touting, if you will. I did see the ADP jobs report. Fantastic. Love to see this from the community. If you're not paying attention to the jobs reports every week, you should absolutely be paying attention to the job reports every week. ADP is the largest payroll provider in the world. They process so much payroll from across the from across the workplace, and so they frequently report numbers as to how. And again, it's a very narrow data point. It's not the data point. It's not the only data point. It is a very, 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 very narrow data point, but it is something you should pay attention to, right? When job numbers, are high, when ADP reports higher than expected job growth, when ADP reports, higher than expected unemployment, when ADP reports all these numbers, those give you macro symbols as to how the economy is doing. Why is this important? I'll say it again. The reason this is important is because a lot of you come into the chat and they talk about, how do I get a job in cyber? That is the number one question that ever gets asked. And I love answering. I've answered it consistently for 5 years. I'll continue to answer it for as long as this stream runs. But I want you to understand what I'm teaching you right now is this is how to fish your own data in that process. And you have to start paying attention to the business data that exists out there, because this ADP jobs report is exactly what I'm talking about, right? This is exactly what I'm talking about in terms of paying attention to the economy. So for this month, for this month's report, based on last month's data, it showed that private companies had actually lost a significant amount of jobs. I don't remember how many it was, but it was led by a lot of small businesses. Now, remember, that's just a point in time. That's not indicative of a trend. We look at things over the course of a large scope of space. But we did see a lot of small to medium businesses have their job openings decrease pretty significantly. It's hard to know what that's because of, right? We won't know. These job data reports are usually we'll get a leading indicator like this, but we won't know the reason why for another 1, 2, or 3 points. Some other interesting things, though, that I think is interesting about the ADP jobs report, and I did take an opportunity to pull it up because I knew that the big story this week was the cutting of the jobs. But there's some underlying other information that I thought was very good on the ADP report as well. And this is one that I don't think people are talking about. Annual pay for job stayers rose 4.4% year over year, while job changers saw a 6.3%. So we're narrowing that gap. If you guys remember, for the longest time, especially in cyber, I talked about on stream a principle of 20% up and out, right? Meaning that if after 2 years you didn't get a 20% raise or a significant bump in your title, it was okay for you to move on. Because that was what you could expect out of our industry, was 20% was the difference between, stayers and leavers. And so when we see ADP report that says that job stayers are seeing a 4.4% increase and job leavers are only seeing a 6% increase, we're seeing that gap narrow. Meaning it's now getting back to the point where it's no longer profitable, if you will. It's no longer profitable, if you will, to be really, really mad at your employer and go leave and get a 20% raise. Right? And Sonic, I that's a whole different conversation. I do understand where you're going with that, and I don't mind having that conversation. What I just want to highlight that there is a misconception in our industry that it's like, oh, well, if I'm just not getting what I want at this company, I'm just going to pack up my bags and leave. Right? And I think that's a macroeconomic trend that we're starting to see not be the case in cyber anymore. Right? Or, enterprises know that there is more supply than there is demand. Right? It does mean that there are more supply. And so because there is more supply, there's not that big of a jump to go from one company to the next. Right? Holy Sheet Man, thank you so very much for the $50 donation to our Melanoma Research Foundation. I do absolutely appreciate that. That money doesn't go to me at all whatsoever. That money goes directly to the Melanoma Research Foundation to support their fight on cancer. That is the cancer that I had, which is why that foundation is near and dear to my heart. Thank you so very much for that. I appreciate it. So do all the other melanoma patients that exist out there. So the ADP jobs report, I think, showed some interesting data this month that I think is super interesting for all your careers. Here's the two takeaways that I would continue to have from the ADP jobs report. Right? It's still a shitty economy to be looking for a job. Right? Now is not the time. Now is not the time to be YOLOing your career and being like, I'm pissed off, I'm just going to go get another job. Because quite frankly, if you land another job, you're probably only talking about a 2% raise at most, right, to what you're making right now. If you can find a job in a relatively quick amount of time, right? Most people are being unemployed. The average unemployment rate, especially in cyber, is close to a year. So unless you have a year's worth of funds saved up, you should expect to be unemployed for a year in this space. This is today's strategy. We've streamed on this channel for 5 years. I've given a lot of outlooks on the cyber industry. I've helped you guys grow through what was arguably one of the biggest booms in cyber that we've had for a really, really, really long time. We're on the other side of that, right? Now is the time, hunker down, skill up, right? Skill up is the right answer here. And listen, there's a difference between very high demand. Like, let's talk about this, because I think this is a fantastic point. there's a little bit of hype cycle that comes with cyber, right? Is cybersecurity in demand? Well, define demand. Does everybody notionally know how important cybersecurity is? I'd say 60 to 70% everybody knows notionally how important cybersecurity is. You know, we definitely have our share of cynical takes inside of chat, especially every time we talk about data breaches or 0 days or unpatched systems and things like that. But I would say, generally speaking, about 60% of the industry appreciates the demand, the need for cybersecurity professionals. That doesn't translate into market demands, and it doesn't translate into economical demands. I have a high demand for a Ferrari in my garage, but that doesn't mean that I am fiscally in a position where it makes sense for me to go out and buy a Ferrari. Right? So I could still want something really, really, really expensive and nice. But if the CEO of our company, the CEO of our household, if Carmen Mod says that we currently don't have the budget, interest rates are too high, we need to be fiscally conservative, it doesn't matter how much I want a Ferrari in that garage. The money just doesn't work out. Right? So, is cybersec in very high demand? Sure, everybody wants more cybersecurity people. If you talk to any SOC manager, if you talk to any SOC director, if you talk to any CISO, they would love to have. They'd love to have more people on their team. Would I love, as a single security organization at a startup, would I love to have more people working for me in a startup? Absolutely. Hands down. My demand for cyber people is over 9,000. But that doesn't mean that I can go out and hire them. That's the difference. Right? We've talked a little bit about this. I don't hate this line of thought. By the way, this is how the AMA works here on Friday. For those who aren't aware, we see all the questions. All the questions are getting added to a pool. Don't think for a minute that we haven't added all these questions to a pool. We usually carry a topic down. We keep it conversational through a topic. So keep adding the questions to a pool, and we'll continue to answer them in time. Right? I don't hate the conversation around owning your own work. Right? It's challenging. It's challenging to have this conversation about starting your own business. Because a lot of people, when they hear like, oh, I can't get into cyber, I'm just going to start my own business. And let me tell you that is the most ridiculous thing that could come out of your mouth. Right? I'm all for entrepreneurship. As a matter of fact, like for all of our AI hate, in the last 2 weeks, I've written business plans for two new startups. For myself. I didn't write these for anybody else. I wrote business plans for myself for two new startups with roadmap projections of 1 to 2 million ARR in 12 to 24 months. Now, execution is always harder than planning. And I think that's the problem, is that execution is always harder than planning. So I think it's real easy to say, well, I'm going to go start my own business, but then you've got to do all the things that are associated with that business. And so if you're trying to get your first job in cybersecurity, and you're trying to say, well, I'm going to get my first job in cybersecurity, and I'm going to learn what it takes to run a business, and I'm going to run a business, and I'm going to learn how to do pen testing, because that's the one that I always get asked in my DMs about, and I'm going to learn pen testing, and I'm going to convince a client to let me pen test, let me hack into their environment when I have zero skills and zero experience whatsoever. Right? That's where this conversation around owning your own business becomes challenging. Right? Because yes, it's easy to say, well, if hiring is the way that it is, if job losses are the way that it is, if transitioning from job A to job B is as challenging as you make it out to be, Neal, then the solution is clearly for me to start my own business. That's not a terrible take. I don't hate that take, but that's not for everybody. Owning a business is indeed a very, very individual thing, and it takes a special type to make that happen, right? And I do not believe, and this is a Neal personal opinion, and I'm happy to fight with anybody about this in chat, but I do not believe that if you do not possess the requisite skills for the service in which you're trying to sell, you have no business being in the business of selling that. Right? Does that make sense? Put yourself on the receiving side. Put yourself on the cybersecurity side. Would you hire somebody to hack into your most sensitive systems when they do not have the experience to do so? If you wouldn't hire them as a full-time employee, why would you hire them as a contractor? And here's the scary part about the business conversation. There are some people who hear me say that, and they're like, well, I'm just going to lie and market myself as an expert. Guess what? You are part of the problem that exists in the cyber industry already today, where marketing lies incessantly about their capabilities for the sheer, you might as well just go into sales at that point in time. You might as well just stop being in cyber altogether and just go to sales. Right? Because that's all you're doing. If you're just wanting to lie, to say that you have pen testing skills, to try to get customers so that you can learn pen testing on their dime, on their infrastructure, where they're trying to protect their business, it becomes a very, very challenging premise. Fair question. Sometimes the solutions get intermixed in my rambles. If you miss a solution, feel free to call me out and ask me about it. I don't always remember the things that I said. I kind of speak, fast, and I kind of like shoot from the hip. So if I say something, feel free to ask, like, what's a specific solution to something. I usually try to intermix my solutions in there, but I always appreciate you keeping me honest. I'm not sure which solution you wanted to hear. I've said a lot of things in here. So feel free to ask me one specific if you heard something you want to get an answer to. Over on LinkedIn, Holy Sheep Man again over on LinkedIn, had a pitch from a vendor yesterday, agentic AI-based auto fix for our repos. Excited and terrified at the same time. Price tag for all that uncertainty, 3 to 4 million worth it? Oh, that's a tough question. Worth it is always hard in the cyber industry, especially when you're spending money on tools and technologies, right? Holy shit, you're in two places at once. Is that which one's the real you and which one's not? Anyway, 3 to 4 million for software in cybers. That like I've paid a lot of millions for a lot of cybers. 3 to 4 million. Oh, $750,000. Oh man. Well, okay. All right. Well, that's a little bit better. 750,000. You know what? Words. Not only are words hard, but talking's hard. Let's reframe this with $750,000 in mind. Either way, it's a lot of money. Is it a good use of money? Is it worth it? I don't know. Would you avoid $750,000 in damages? Would you get $750,000 worth of relieved workload out of it? Would you have to hire how many headcount to cover down on that, right? If you assume that every $100,000 employee actually costs you $150,000, then $750,000, math is also hard, would be 3, 6, 4, 5 employees, right? Would you rather have 5 employees or a $750,000 bill, right? But then 5 employees are never really 5 employees, because then you've got training, you've got, time out of office, you've got benefits, right? All the other stuff, right? So worth it is, what is your cost of offset? One of the conversations that I get to have more frequently at a startup than I did when I was, on the buying side, was encountering companies that are choosing to build versus buy. It still baffles my mind, companies who choose to build versus buy. Sometimes it works out. Most of the time it doesn't, right? That's the whole reason the software industry exists, right? The software industry exists because companies have tried to build solutions for things and have realized it's hard to build, hard to maintain, hard to update, hard to grow, hard to scale, right? But maybe you're the type of company that needs to, right? And so maybe you're the type of company that can handle all the things of being a software vendor, so it does make sense for you to build. I think it's all Residual say it best, right? And Cypher Enigma pig it onto it, right? What's your ROI and what's your risk? If it's more beneficial for you to accelerate a program to spend $750,000 instead of hiring 5 employees, sending them to training, getting them skilled up, building a program and doing it themselves, then it's worth it. 750 might be a deal, or you might be getting ripped off for something that can be done for 200,000. I think that's the challenge that comes when you look at solutions like this, is what's your ROI appetite? What's your risk appetite? Where are you willing to spend money? Right? And that's what makes buying software in security teams and in organizations so challenging. I can tell you, code vulnerabilities are going to do nothing but hockey stick. Like, mark my words. Like, code vulnerabilities are absolutely going to hockey stick. We saw them before in the past. I think with the, I'm not going to call it vibe coding. Let's say it this way. With the rise of adoption of agentic AI IDEs, absolutely. Here, I did see it. I did save a tweet about this. Hold on. I did save a tweet about this. From a senior software engineer that I follow on Twitter, said, this is a quote from a tweet. People haven't internalized that AI isn't going away. For example, coding doesn't go back. Coding doesn't go back. It's AI coding from now to eternity. So think about that for a minute. This is software engineers saying, we're not putting that genie back in the bottle. You're never going to undo that. And so AI coding is here to stay, and its use and adoption will only ever go up. That's not Sam Altman saying it. That's not Sanjay saying it. That is a software engineer who's been in this industry for 20 plus years saying that we can't go back to that. Cybersec Mom dropping in with the 10 gifted. So thank you so very much. It's always good to see you. Mwah. Mwah. So good to see you. Right? And so you can't put that genie back in the bottle. And so if you can't put that genie back in the bottle, that obviously means that we have now seen its impact. We've seen AI coding's impact on the acceleration of software engineering, we've seen it lower the barrier to entry through vibe-coded apps, right? We've seen some terrible vibe-coded apps that have just been absolutely wrecked by vulnerabilities. And so, yeah, I don't think you can put that genie back in the bottle. I don't think you can put that genie back in the bottle. And so we will only ever see more and more software vulnerabilities. This is why, like, I think a few years ago, I talked about, like, if you really wanted to start off in this industry, if you wanted to, like, really start fresh in this industry, software, right? Web vulnerabilities, application vulnerabilities, AI vulnerabilities, that is going to be the next wave, if you will, where we will see a need for security expertise. Right? Absolutely. So in that vein, I think it's worth having something in the pipeline in the SDLC process. I think it's worth having something in the SDLC process to kind of help you along the way. Is AI the right answer for it? I believe so. I think you could absolutely leverage AI to make the agentic AI coding process so much easier and faster. Hands down. Good question, though. Good question. Good question from Sonic. I saw this one early on. Even with the FAFO market, could someone continue to position themselves for internal external movement due to their team shifting towards undesirable things outside of make content and network? I do believe so. One of the things that I've talked about on stream before that Sonic is kind of referring to here is when I talk about making yourself visible, one of the things I talk about is that the easiest way, I'm not saying the only way, I'm not saying the right way, I'm not saying the wrong way, the easiest way, right? The easiest way for you to get recognized in this job market with the way that it is to make content network. Right? So we've stipulated that. Sonic is asking, okay, outside of that, Neal, what's the one up from that? What's the alternative for that? And here's what makes your question challenging, Sonic, that I'm gonna try to answer is that I know some of the team dynamics that you're talking about that I'm trying to help you work around, but also, extrapolate enough to share with the broader community as well, right? Your company's vision and direction will never align 100% with yours. Remember, your working relationship is a business transaction, right? I've agreed to work for Query. I've agreed to give my skill set over to Query. Query will extract value from my skill set and compensate me for a certain amount of money. Like, that's the business relationship. We have a shared goal, right? The goal is to make Query one of the best software products out on the market, revolutionize the security operations space, and be the defined leader in federated search, right? That's our common goal. So I have my desires in my business relationship with Query, and Query has its desires for its business relationship with Neal, right? And that's okay. It's open to have that conversation. And so, I don't care, and I use my air quotes here a little bit, if there are things that happen in the organization that, I'm going to use your word, they're undesirable, right? If it gets us to the goal and it facilitates my business relationship with Query, then I have to make my own business decision for the business of Neal as to whether I'm okay continuing this business relationship given those circumstances. Right? Now, how do I continue to position myself? If we start to now see that I frame jobs as business relationships, right? What it makes it real easy to do then is to say, like, okay, what do I have to do to continue to position myself internally or externally to do that? In this job market, the way that I continue to position myself internally, right, is that I learn new skills and I try to put myself into positions to execute on those skills that make me of value to the enterprise. For instance, in March, you'll notice a huge shift in tonality on this stream as I started to tout a lot more AI. And I've been very, very transparent about this. I was asked to lead a 3-person team in an R&D effort to dive deep on what Query's AI future would look like from a product perspective. And being a startup, I had to learn AI, which meant I had to go out and understand the mechanics of it. I had to understand the players in the space. I had to understand how to write code for it. I had to understand how to interact with models, MCP, A2A, right? All the things. I had to learn all that. Yes, part of that was my mandate to position Query for our common goal, my personal goal plus my business relationship with Query, our common goal of making Query awesome. Yes. But also, I took an opportunity to recognize that I was being given a chance to +1 my skills. So I took it to +1 my skills. And now that has paid off because I now go talk to CISOs who are much behind me in their adoption of AI, and I am seen as the expert. Now, will I know whether that was successful or me or not? Not till some point in time in the future. That's why they call it business. That's why you're investing in the future. But that was an opportunity that I took, regardless of what I believed was happening in the rest of the organization. We had a common goal, and there was an opportunity for me to get involved at a common goal to +1 my skill set that has now positioned me as a perceived leader amongst my CISO peers in the cybersecurity community as an AI expert. That's my journey. So when I answer your question, that's how I perceive your question, is that you have to look at the opportunities that exist around you, realize that the business isn't there to make you happy. The business isn't there to do things that you will always think are desirable. The business isn't there to pat you on the head and say, like, I'm so sorry that your feelings aren't getting met in this job environment. It is a business relationship. Listen, I love Matt, I love Jeremy, I love Mike, I love the entire Query team, but that is what we are. We are a team. We are a sports team. And if I slip, if I don't go to the gym, if I don't work out, if I don't improve my game, then Matt, as head coach, has every right to look out for the team and bring in somebody who is more suited to that role. And until you realize, until you come to accept that this is what it is to work for corporate America, you will always have this childhood trauma of parental need where you feel like you must be catered to, you feel like you must be pandered to, you feel like you must have your head patted and be like, hey, it's okay, I'm sorry you don't agree with the rest of the organization. What can I do to make your day better? It's a business relationship. It's a business relationship. You have to go where the business goes, or you got to get out of the team and go find you a team that you do align with. Right? I realized that trailed off into a little bit of a soapbox, a little bit of a rant that was not targeted at Sonic at all whatsoever. That was more just general advice for folks. Again, I have some intimate knowledge of Sonic's kind of like working relationship, and so like that was not all directed totality at Sonic, right? And this is a fair statement. Like, I think this is the absolute right way to look at it. You don't like the value exchange based on the scope and the data presented at the start versus what it is at the end. And that's fine. Scope creep happens. Scope creep in any business relationship happens. Right? You have to decide, like, listen, we want to talk about scope creep. I was hired as CISO 4 years ago. Now, every job rec that I've ever signed has always had a little line at the bottom that says, and all other jobs assigned. That is a blanket statement for the organization to scope creep on you at literally any point in time. Every company has that. All other jobs assigned is the blanket statement for scope creep in an organization. Good luck negotiating that out of your employee agreement. Good luck. Let me know how that goes, right? You will never, ever, ever avoid all other duties as assigned. Because I can guarantee you that I do way more than startup work at Query, or way more than CISO work at Query. So you have to decide when that all other duties as assigned has exceeded your tolerance of scope creep, and you either renegotiate your rate with the organization or you potentially look for a new business relationship. Good question. Good train of thought. I love it. Seeing if there's any tangential questions related to that. No, we'll pivot to this one. Star Killer, good to see you in chat. Long time no see, but glad to have you back. I had a question for best practices for knowledge. How does anyone collect guides and how-tos? Like, do y'all have a notebook or repository built up somewhere? And what would you suggest to someone new starting to build theirs up? Because there's a lot of info out there and no one knows it all. Everybody, I think, in this industry feels this pain, right? There is so much. This is why I do think, like, this is the underrated value of AI. Now, listen, this is not an AI slop question, and this is not an AI slop response, right? But I do believe that LLMs are a fantastic, quick access dictionary for the vast amounts of knowledge that they have illegally scraped off the internet for the last 30 years, right? Because whether you like it or not, that's pretty much what has happened, right? Is that AIs have scraped the internet and collected all of that knowledge into a central repository. And so you can use it as a natural language repository for all the things that you ever could have wanted. Dosco's right. I haven't known it all my entire career. I keep a, if I were to show you, the tabs that I have. So anytime I come across an article or a GitHub repo or something like that, I usually hit open in a new tab. I'm not sure if it's going to show. Yeah, I've got 333 tabs on my iPhone of things that I've found of interest as I was scrolling the internet that I was like, I should really, 330 tabs here. This is after I've already saved off others because there's a 500 tab limit on iPhone to do that. Exactly. A tab group on need to read. I was keeping them in a notes folder. So in iPhone, there's this concept of a notes. And so if you actually look at, here we go. So from you can see this one. This is my notes where I simply find articles and I'm like, save to notes, right? To read later, right? We all have it, right? I think the point of all this, E-Curve, good to see you in chat. Thank you so very much for the resub with your Prime. I know you've been around longer than 13 months, but I appreciate all of your actualies, all of your maths, all of your encryptions and everything else. You're a freaking rock star. I think the point is, right? I think the point is that you will never, ever, ever, ever have a great way to capture all of the things that are possible to learn in this industry. After 20 plus years in this industry, I can unequivocally tell you that this industry moves too fast for you to ever get caught up with anything you ever say you're going to read later. Right? It is so mind-boggling how fast, and I think AI is going to continue to accelerate it. Right? I think AI is going to continue to accelerate it. So I say all that to say, like, I know you'd ask, like, does anybody have any good ways to do it? Right? I think the answer is no. I think we all have various versions of ADHD and autism and OCD, and I think we all work with inside the constructs, right, of you know, whatever our specific variables on those conditions are, right, that allow us to keep track of all of that data. My personal method is things that I keep into browser tabs are usually GitHub repos. And so what I'll do is I'll sit down one night as a dev night where I want to work on a project, and I will open up one of those tabs for GitHub repo. I'll pull that tab over to my MacBook, and I'll sit down and I'll read the GitHub repo. I'll read the README. If it looks interesting, I'll fire up a project. You know, I'll read about it and everything else, and then I'll decide from there, okay, is that a GitHub repo that I want to keep in as a tool in the toolbox, or, you know, hey, that's just a ChatGPT wrapper for, you know, Kali, and so therefore it's out of there, right? And so that's usually why I do the GitHub repos in a tab, is because I'll get to that project later. News articles, you know, I don't typically research news articles after I read the headline. Like, I have a super quick OODA loop when it comes to news articles that I find, right? Hey, news article. So you have to realize most news articles are fake, and this isn't a fake news pitch or anything like that, right? When I was at INE, we had hired a PR person that worked for a local news agency, and her entire job was to go get me interviews, right? And she did a fantastic job at it. I had more news appearances, television appearances, articles published about me, everything when she was there. It was amazing. And I can tell you from that experience that if you see it on Dark Reading, if you see it on Hacker News, if you see it on Bleeping Computer, it was probably a paid media post, and generally speaking, not worth it. I'll say that, generally speaking, not worth the read. But they will occasionally have a nugget. I'll give them that. They'll occasionally have a nugget. And when they do have a nugget, I'll usually research it right there on the spot to see if there's any there to it. And if there is any there to it, then I'll save it off and I'll research it later as a research topic. Yeah. Fantastic point here, right? Like, I think we're past, I hate to say this, I think we're super past the point where traditional news is meaningful, right? Say what you want. Like I'm not here to debate whether you agree with Elon Musk or whether you agree with Twitter or whether you agree with X. I'm not here to debate that, and quite frankly, that's outside the scope of what we talk about on this stream. So whether you like it or not, I could give a shit less. It is an unequivocal fact that you can get more current, up-to-date cyber news on X than you can anywhere else. It is absolutely a fact. Right? And you don't have to like it. Listen, I don't blame you for not liking it, right? But it is unequivocally the fact is that most people will run to Twitter because of the desire to rage bait, because of the desire to farm clicks and engagement. Because of that, you will get better, more thorough, more technical news on X than you will anywhere else. Right? But I do fundamentally believe news sites like Dark Reading, Hacker News, Bleeping Computer, right? All of those, I think they're dead. I think they're dead. If I said only, then I misspoke. I would never say only. I'm not an only type of person. So if I said only, allow me to be corrected. But I'm pretty sure I didn't say only. But I do believe it. I have a belief that it is the best. If we were to look at it from a tree structure perspective, I would start to X, and then I would say that there's branches of that tree all the way down. But it's definitely not the only. And listen, like, you can avoid the drama on X. You can avoid the drama on X. Like, remember, it's an algorithm. Like, most of you want to be hackers. Most of you claim you want to be hackers. But you can't hack a simple social media algorithm. Right? I'm just going to call it like it is. Most of you get, X is full of this, and X is full of that, and X is horrible. Well, then you have failed to hack the algorithm. Go back. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Right? If you can't hack a social media algorithm, that's why your feed sucks. There is nothing to learn on the dark web. If you're on the dark web learning, you're either lying, trolling, or you are sorely misinformed. There is nothing to learn on the dark web. If you think that you can learn how to hack, if you think you can learn about cybersecurity, if you think you can learn about the latest breaches on the dark web, you haven't spent a dime on the dark web to understand that there is nothing that is available to 99% of the people on the dark web that would be valuable to you in this journey. It doesn't make you look cool to say that you go to the dark web and learn. That's what uneducated kids say. Right? There's nothing that you can learn on the dark web. I don't mean to sound crass on this, and I'm definitely not picking on Linux Node for this, but I see this frequently. I can't believe, and maybe it's because I've been in this space for too long, right? Maybe it's because like the dark web is just like any other spot on the web where there are people who are trying to grift, there are scammers, there are con artists. 99% of what you see on the dark web is absolutely, unequivocally fake. Absolutely fake. Real cybercrime, real criminals, not skids, not scam groups, right? Not call centers out of insert third world country here, right? Real crime doesn't happen on a dark web page that you can scan on, on the open internet, right? It just doesn't happen. And take it from somebody who has been a confidential informant for the FBI multiple times. Real crime doesn't happen the way that you think it does on the dark web. This is a truer statement than I learned everything I needed to about cyber on the dark web. right? That's a different topic altogether. We could talk about ransom as a service, right? We could talk about ransom as a service all day long. I have always attested that there are layers of cybercrime, right? There's level 1, level 2, and level 3, right? And this goes, I gave this talk at SANS Network Security in 2012. I gave my thought back. This is back when I was at the agency, right? In terms of layers of hackers, right? Level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 being absolute, bottom of the barrel, right? Script kiddies, hacktivists, right? Modern day ransomware as a service gangs, right? People who are just generally unskilled. And listen, there's a difference between being unskilled in cyber, but being highly skilled in crime. You don't have to know shit about cyber to pick up a phone and scam somebody. You don't have to know shit about cyber to operate some of these ransomware as a service drop kits. Right? As a matter of fact, some of these ransomware gangs have help desk for people who don't know how to use their ransomware kits. Right? And so that level 1 is the absolute basics of cybercrime. That's your level 1 hackers. Your level 2 hackers, right? Slightly more sophisticated. When I talk about slightly more sophisticated, these are the actual gangs. This is actually like scattered spider, right? These are the actual hunters, right? These are actual the folks who are building the malware, the folks who are running the infrastructure. This is not APTs. That's layer 3. The layer 2 folks are the cyber criminals who have the operational mindset to run an entire cyber criminal organization. Right? They understand fund distribution. They understand operational distribution. They understand compartmentalization of information, right? They understand how to run the organizations. They're usually the ones that are developing the ransomware kits. They're usually the ones that are building the interfaces, funding the help desk and stuff like that. They're the corporations, if you will, to Brian's comment earlier, that are running the actual cybercrime stuff. They're relying on the level 1 hackers for reach, right? Because you don't have to know anything to operate at that level 1. And then level 3 is where I think you've got APTs. And the only difference that I've ever attested, that's the difference between a level 3, an APT hacker, and a level 2, is one actually just has a national security directive. That's really it. The skill sets are almost always equivalent. There are a couple things here and there. The ransomware gangs may never develop a 0-day. They'll just go buy one from Pwn to Own or something like that. Whereas the nation state guys, they'll craft their own 0 days, but they'll also go buy them. Right? But really, the level 3 and the level 2, the only difference is one has a national security director and the other doesn't. And so if you keep a really simple 1 through 3 pyramid in mind, sure, go to the dark web, interact with the level 1 skids all day long. Go ahead. If you think that's where cybersecurity is, if you think that's where cybercrime operates, if you think that tells you everything you need to know about cybercrime, have fun. Right? That's like as an adult going to Disney World. That's probably an unfair statement. That's like as an adult I can't even think of a good analogy to that. Either way, if that's what you think real cybersecurity is, go forth and have fun, right? My point is if you truly believe that you wanted to see where the bad guys are and how the bad guys operate and what the bad guys' TTPs are, unless you're sitting in a Telegram channel where they're talking about live operations where you've gotten an invite because you showed street cred that you can hack into an organization and be useful to them, you're not in any meaningful conversation. Right? You're not in any meaningful conversation. I'm out of coffee, chat. That was a good rant. That was a good rant. That was a good rant. Oh, this is a good one over on YouTube. Tips for an enthusiast to get into the cyber workforce with a felony from when I was 18 years old 10 years ago. You wouldn't be the first. You wouldn't be the first that we've had in this community that was a felon to get a job in cyber. It can be done. It's not easy at all. But it can be done. The first thing you have to realize, right, is that there are limitations, right? You probably will never get a job in the financial sector because most financial sectors, PCI DSS, NYDFS, FFIEC, a lot of those organizations have explicit rules that if you are working in security, you can't have a criminal background. That you can't fault Bank of America or Cap One or MasterCard or Visa or Target or anybody for that. Right? You can't falter any of them for that. They are literally bound by law not to employ you. So what I would do is I would start looking at companies that don't necessarily have that type of limitation, right? Consulting companies will hire you and then you can be on consulting engagements that don't involve fintech, I would say like small startups, small MSSPs, small MDRs, companies like that. Those companies, you will probably never work for a super large corporation, or at least not for a while you have a felony on your record. But it is possible for you to go work for the startups, for you to go work for smaller companies, for you to go work for smaller MSPs, smaller MDRs, and companies like that. So I would start with, what are the things that you think would be valuable to those smaller companies? And I can tell you, like, some of the things that would be valuable to those smaller companies are always, how much are you able to do? Like, we get back to our conversation around how many hats can you wear, right? If you are a person who can wear multiple hats and do multiple jobs, you are insanely valuable to small companies, right? You are insanely valuable to small companies the more hats you can wear. That's one of my frustrations, is that small companies value you based on your diversity of skill, but they can't pay you based on that diversity of skill. Big companies want you to know one thing really, really, really well. And they'll pay you pretty well for knowing that one thing really, really, really well. But that one thing that you know really, really, really well will get boring super fast. Right? At least in my opinion. That's my opinion. It'll get boring super fast. So, I would say, to get into the cyber workforce, look at small companies, look at startups, look for folks who are not in highly regulated industries. Is OSINT considered as pen testing? If not, how crucial is OSINT during a vulnerability? that an application pen test? VAPT? Application... V? Vulnerable application pen test? I don't know if I've seen VAPT. Am I that old where I don't recognize VAPT? Application pen test? Anyway. OSINT... Oh, vulnerability assessment and pen test. Oh, they've combined them now? Okay. Interesting. Never seen them combined like that before. Thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one that said it. Thank you, Beardsec. I was like, huh. That was why I was like, man, I've never seen them combined like that before. There you go. There's a little bit of that old age cynicism right there. Like, why do we combine them together? It's really redundant. OSINT is not considered pen testing, right? OSINT is... So, OSINT is a subset of cyber threat intelligence. OSINT is a technique with which you use open source data to gather intelligence. Now, that's a box. It has a lid. It has how many sides are on a cube? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 cubes. It has 6 sides, right? Right? So it is the process by which you use open source information to gather intelligence. Well, that box, that set of tools that you use for OSINT applies to multiple areas of cybersecurity. And this is why my hot take on this is that we are so close. We are so close to and Beard has said this before, and I completely agree with him. The color system is dumb. The color system is stupid. We are past that. I believe that we're on the cusp. There is no difference in red teaming. There's no difference in blue teaming. There's no difference in yellow, purple, blah, blah, blah. It's not. We're not a fucking crayon box. Right? And this is a perfect example of that, is OSINT. OSINT is a tool. OSINT is a set of capabilities that can be applied whether you're on the offensive, whether you're doing offensive operations, whether you're doing defensive operations, whether you're doing GRC operations, whether you're doing, combined remediation operations. Those are a set of capabilities, right? OSINT is a set of capabilities that applies. It's a tool. It's a tool that can be passed around to multiple aspects of cyber, right? And because we're starting to see that these tools have multiple applications across multiple parts of cyber, that's why I have a belief that we're going to see the breakdown of this color system, because learning Metasploit isn't a red team only activity. There is so much value in an incident responder and a security analyst understanding Metasploit, understanding how C2 channels like Empire or, Cobalt Strike or anything else like that work. There is value in blue teamers understanding that. Right? There is value to blue teamers understanding and practicing cross-site scripting, SQL injection, cross-site request forgery, etc. Right? It's not a siloed conversation anymore. And so no, OSINT is not pen testing. OSINT is just a set of capabilities. You get to apply those set of capabilities to multiple parts of the cybersecurity ecosystem. Right? How crucial is OSINT? Intelligence, I'm not even going to go down to as low as OSINT. Cyber threat intelligence is one of the most overhyped, misunderstood, incorrectly implemented capabilities in cyber. Back to our conversation on the dark web, right? eCurve, I love you. You know this. I love our sub chat chats. For those who got gifted subs, make sure you come into sub chat and listen to eCurve and I argue over semantics and language disparities frequently in sub chat at night. eCurve is right. Setting up honeypots in the Onion network so that you can farm level 1 hacker TTPs is a form of intelligence gathering. But that is not cyber threat intelligence. Make sure you hear those words correctly. It is a form of intelligence gathering, but it is not the act of a cyber threat intelligence program. And I think that's where we screw up in how we operationalize this notion of OSINT in penetration testing, right? Most people, when they see OSINT in pen testing, and again, OSINT is one of the most clickbaity titles in the entire world. That's why I'm not going to do content on OSINT. OSINT challenge, where am I? Dumbest shit ever. Oh, it's happening, Beard. OSINT challenge. Fucking social media. As I was saying, OSINT has its place, but I think that we get really, really hyped on things in our industry that just don't fucking matter, right? OSINT is just one tool in that whole vulnerability assessment, pen testing lifestyle. It's one tool that you use in combination with a bunch of other tools to ultimately accomplish your mission, right? Ultimately accomplish your mission. And I think that's where people get misconstrued about the use of tools. Everything should start with, what is your objective? If you're doing a VAPT, which sounds like somebody had a heart attack at the end of vape. If you're doing a vulnerability assessment and OSINT facilitates your objective, then OSINT is important. But if OSINT doesn't facilitate your objective, don't use it. It's a waste of time. And I think this is what people like. I don't go to my toolbox when I do decide to venture into the world of home modifications. I don't go to my toolbox and be like, I gotta go fix this thing. I'm gonna grab every tool in my toolbox and make sure I use every single one of them. Right? And I think we forget that when we're in the world of cybersecurity, where we go to the toolbox and we open up the toolbox and they're like, whoa, tools. I want to use them all. They're all important because they're all so cool to run. When in fact, the best hackers in the world know when to use the right tool for the right job and only for that job. As you can tell, welcome to Cyber Insecurity. Welcome to Cyber Insecurity, where the rants and the soapboxes are pretty rampant. Fix It, good to see you. Hopefully your stream was well. Did you do Advent of Cyber today? Fix It? I hope you did. I hope you did some awesome stuff on Advent of Cyber. You've probably missed 4 or 5 soapboxes by now. I apologize for that. I don't apologize for it, but it's been a good hour and a half. I've been on a few today. Yeah, Sonic's spot on. Spot on comment from Sonic right there, right? Dedicated tools and knowing when to use them, regardless of what profession, is certainly a sign of knowledge, including when to use it, how it wasn't meant to be used. Well, that last part's a little odd, but, anyway. So again, not picking on you specifically about the question of OSINT, but I do think that we get a little caught in the hype cycle. Speaking of hype cycle, I saw an AI question in there about AI hype. I do want to put that one in there, right? Right. 401 Bit over on Twitch had a fantastic question. Speaking of hype, what is your take on AI hacking capabilities in the next 5 years and also for defensive purposes? Right? Oh, I see what you said there, Falcon. And know when to buy an industrial-sized heater. Had to bring the heater up. That heater, I'm gonna go to the grave over that heater. I know I am. Listen, I would love for somebody to go back and find a clip from a stream that I had talked about AI hacking pre-ChatGPT. This is one of those times where I 1000% would not be ashamed to have some of my old content, flash back up in front of me. Because if you had asked me this question 3 years ago before ChatGPT, and I know somebody has, I would have had a much harder, cynical take on it than I do today. And so I have no problem admitting that my position on this has shifted, and has shifted greatly because of the way the world has advanced around me. Right? And so I will tell you now, which is different than a stance that I would have had 2, if not 3 years ago, we should absolutely be worried about this. Now, that comes with caveats. And I'd love for chat to blow up on this one as well, right? I do not think that AI hacking capabilities exist today. Today, AI hacking doesn't exist. There are people who are writing wrappers around Kali. There are people who are writing wrappers around Metasploit. There are people who are doing MCP servers for Nuclei. There are people who are building basically automated versions of Kali. And for those of us who have been in the industry for a while, we can remember Autopone. Anybody remember Autopone? Anybody remember, what was that Autopone suite that used to be in Backtrack a long time ago, long before it was Kali, that had the little computers with the little red wires around the edges, that was built on top of Autopone? Right? And I'll talk about Expo. I don't mind talking about Expo. I've researched the hell out of Expo, right? I'll talk to you about Expo. Because Expo is I'm not gonna ADHD. Give me a second. I'm on a train of thought here for a second, right? I don't think, because listen, the only thing that models are trained on today are what is known. Right? LLMs today are only trained on what is known. Which means AI hacking today is nothing more than glorified automation. And Expo, by its own decree, agrees with that. The reason Expo is on top is because it can iterate through known vulnerabilities faster than a human. That's not hacking. That is a really advanced vulnerability scanner. You know, the only difference between a vulnerability scan and a pen test is the actual exploitation of the vulnerability. If you don't believe that, then I think you need to go back and look up the definition, right? Because if you're running Nessus and it's looking for a signature to determine if something is hackable, and you as a pen tester see the exact same port and say, this should be hackable, I'm going to try to hack it, what's the difference between those two? A vulnerability scan is the precursor to a pen tester. You can get caught up on the terminology all you want. The TTPs leading up to the actual hitting of the exploit this button are exactly the same. Right? And so all Expo does is rapidly speed up the identification and validation of those exploits. And so I do believe that when we achieve an advancement on AI where you can actually generate net new where no human was able to before, not because a human wasn't fast enough, you'll know it. Somebody will have unequivocal proof that a model was able to figure out how to exploit a buffer overflow or a heap exploit or a use after free vulnerability where no human was ever able to figure it out before. Either because a human couldn't computationally figure out at the assembly level how to get the ones and zeros of the computer to move around to the right memory space to gain access to the exploit code. That's when you'll know that we're in the scary part of AI hacking. That's the scary part of AI hacking. When it can find holes that a human looks at and goes, I'm a software engineer from 900 years and blah, 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 and I never in a million years would have found that. This, again, I don't disagree with this, but it's not finding code vulnerabilities that a human couldn't find. It's simply finding them faster. Do not conflate faster with never been done before. Right? That's all I'm trying to say. Don't conflate faster with never been done before. People have been finding 0 days in Chrome for decades. Pwn to own has existed for freaking ever. They have given away millions of dollars in pwn to own every year. Don't conflate faster with never been done before. Exactly. Super expensive fuzzing. That's all I'm trying to say. So what? Brought it up. Like I said, I'm not saying don't be impressed with it. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. But let's make sure we're being super clear that it's not innovation. It's just faster. We're able, and that's why I do believe that we're seeing more of them, is because we have figured out how to accelerate the process. We figured out how to accelerate the human process of finding those vulnerabilities. But I don't believe that is AI hacking. And you may argue semantics, but I think that there's a strong difference. There's a strong distinction to be made on AI hacking versus AI enabled or AI automated or AI driven, right? Having the models drive the automation, having the models execute the follow-on faster, having the models run the operational process, all that does is enable it to go faster. Right? Faster is not an innovation on hacking. Let's be super clear on that too. Attackers have been going faster for decades. If I say, if I talk about beat the patch vulnerabilities, beat the patch exploitation, attackers for years have come across on a patch Tuesday, seen a 0 day, been able to rapidly create a remote code execution for it and get it out into the public for rapid exploitation before the mass majority of enterprises could patch. All that is speed. Right? All that is speed. I get you, 401. I'm on a little bit of a tangent here. Right? But you're 100% right. Right? That's why I said I want to make sure everybody's aware today. Right? It doesn't exist today. Today, it's just automation. Today, it's just faster. Today, it's just driven by a quicker yes-no machine. In the next 5 years, I do think that AI could get to the scary point of hacking. I do fundamentally believe that. But I think that that's not a function of anything more than I think that the AI is going to advance around us at a pace that I think is faster than we're all ready for. That's right. Linux notes that all AI is doing now is just running commands faster. We need to worry about AI hacking, right? We'll need to worry about AI hacking. I think Jeff said it best, right? Like, the idea of AI hacking is prompting, hey, hack Neal's box, and it finds its own and uses whatever tools it finds new vulnerabilities, whatever the case is, right? Right? The Skynet version of AI hacking that I think is completely feasible in 5 years truly is I don't need to know whether there's a vulnerability on site, on eBay. I'm going to tell an AI, go hack eBay, and it's going to, it's going to find some undiscovered, unknown, unhumanable way to break into eBay. Listen, I want you to understand, like, my argument, I saw somebody say I'm arguing semantics. No, I think that these semantics are actually super important. Right? This is why. If we look at the AI that exists today, people will absolutely trash AI because of AI slop in social media, AI slop on LinkedIn, AI slop here, AI slop there. But as soon as you slap an MCP server on Kali, all of a sudden you all think that you're God's gift to AI hacking. Right? When all you've done is you've just created hacking AI slop. That's my frustration with the semantics, because some of you don't understand words. Right? AI, as we see it today, is not what AI is going to be at the end. We are at a blip in the road of the future of AI. And that's not me saying this is an AI nihilist. Right? The AGI that everybody is trying to get to. Google, Microsoft, NVIDIA, DeepSeek, Kimi, Moonshot, everybody. The AI that they are going to is called AGI, where it unequivocally thinks for itself, acts on its own, and genuinely creates net new things that no human has ever or could possibly in the foreseeable future discover. Until that line happens, the only thing that AI is doing is regurgitating human stupidity at a super fast pace. Let me say that again. The only thing AI is doing now is regurgitating human stupidity at a really fast pace. That's not what that there is no such thing as AI hacking today. Right? We are. I saw it on YouTube. We are the bottleneck. Yep. There is a great line. I'll have to see if I can find it. I'll put it up on X if I can find it, where it talks about the line of human knowledge, and it talks about the curve of LLM knowledge approaching that human line, and how we will see incrementally smaller advancements the closer that AI gets to the line of human knowledge. Because that's the theoretical ceiling of AI's current capability today. I don't worry, and this goes for offense and defense, right? I think AI in the defensive space is equally, if not, I think AI in the defensive space finally puts us on the same footing as hackers. There's a hype train going. I'm not here to promote the hype train, but I know some of you love to collect emotes. If you're interested in collecting the emotes, get in on the hype train. All money earned on this stream goes directly to buying giveaways that we give away to the community. I do not collect a dime for anything that's done on this stream. I think that AI in the defensive space has the highest opportunity to put us on the same playing field as hackers. Not because it's smarter, but because it can make decisions and execute faster than humans. That's it. Has nothing to do with being smarter. Has nothing to do with the intelligence side of AI. It has everything to do with its ability to process the events that are happening in front of it, make a decision, and execute faster. Our challenge in the defensive space is that we can't respond and defend the enterprise as fast as attackers can attack us. Has always been the case. My entire career in this industry is about speed. Right? It's about speed. I don't mind talking about the AI in the hacking space because listen, and I'm building tools in the AI offensive sec space. I'm building tools on the defensive sec space. I'm building tools with AI capabilities in both of those. Take it from somebody who has built these tools and is utilizing these tools on a day-to-day basis, right? I'm just as worried as you are, but the reason I talk about semantics is because words matter. The reason that everybody loves 30-second sound bites on TikTok and Instagram is because they don't care about words and they just pay attention to some stupid image and they're like, oh my God, the world is falling. All right. Let's go to the next question. Woosah. Keep it going. I love it. Linux Note, I like you, brother. Thanks, man. I like you too. I like everybody that's here. This is what we do. If you're new to the stream, Thank you so very much for tuning in. I do truly, absolutely appreciate it. We love the civil discourse here. Make sure you do pay attention. Mondays, we do have our threat briefs. Monday morning at 9 a.m., we do have our cybersecurity threat briefs. We have Daily Cyber with Brandon on Wednesday. We have Tea with a Hacker on Fridays. We do have some occasional streams throughout the week as well. Beardsec and I are talking about some new content. We do have Gone Fishing that just started up Mondays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, too. So don't forget about those streams as well. But we love it here. We love everybody tuning in when they can and asking questions in chat. There's actually quite a few here. We're going to try to move through these. Okay, Neal, my question is, at our level on the civilian side, what are we likely to actually encounter? I think what we are likely to actually encounter on the civilian side is faster petty crime. Right? Faster petty crime. Like ransom, like I think we're I don't mean to diminish the significance of crime. So take what I'm about to say with the context that it was intended to give, right? But I think that we are now in an era of cybercrime where it is normalized. Just like shoplifting, just like robberies, just like gun violence. You know, and again, I'm not an advocate for any of those, and I'm not trying to normalize it, but I think that there was as I look back on my career, I do think that I can remember a time where it was truly possible that we thought we would solve cybercrime. And I think that now, if you were to ask me today, I think for the last 10-ish or so years, I've slowly moved towards the thought that cybercrime will be part of our normal life. Which is why I don't talk about breaches on stream. Which is why I don't talk about, Patch Tuesday every week. Right? Because I think that we're starting to see that as we become more technologically centric, as we advance daily, as we become more consumed with consumerism and capitalism, whether you like it or not, that's the direction the world goes in. As the world advances in that general direction, just like the world around us, cybercrime becomes a thing that will always exist in our world. Once you come to accept that, I think what affects us on the non-government, non-state sponsored, frontier model type of perspective, how do we stop petty crime faster? Right? Because if you assume that a capability drops today, there is an unknown amount of time between when a capability drops and the bad guys start to employ it. Right? And so our goal will always be, how do we make that gap smaller? And unfortunately, just like the kinetic crimes, shoplifting, robberies, gun violence, like all this stuff, right? Just like we will never get away from all of them, and just like it varies drastically based on neighborhood, economic climate, social disparity, all the things that we've come to accept as being variables of that equation, we will have variables to that equation in the cyberspace. And so I think for each of us, We have to stop thinking that we can solve a global problem. We're never going to solve a global problem. We all have to adopt that we are foot soldiers. We are foot soldiers of our own individual battlefronts that we deal with in our companies. Right? We're trying to solve the problems for our neighborhoods, for our states, for our, for the companies that we work for. And I think that's what my answer to your question, Callie. We're likely to encounter accelerated petty crime. And I think that's our most pressing issue to deal with, right? Is how do we solve the petty crime that will impact 99% of the organizations that exist out there. Trust me when I say, when I got out in 2013, I thought the most important problem to the company, I went to go work for a Fortune 10 financial organization when I got out of the Air Force. And I truly, with all my heart, believe that the nation state hackers, of certain countries were the most important thing that financial organization should come to care about. And I can unequivocally tell you that after years of working in the private sector, 99% of organizations will never have to care about that ever. Ever. Oh, all right. Let's do a few more. Okay, let me check my meeting schedule. Let me see if I can go over. Oh, I got an hour and a half. All right, cool. Let's see here. What else we got? Is DDoS still effective at this time? Yeah, I mean, effective at what? Effective at pissing off the entirety of the internet. We've only had like 5 DDoS attacks between, AWS taking out all of US East 1, Cloudflare, whatever the code issue was that Cloudflare pushed that caused the DDoS. I mean, are DDoS is still effective at pissing off the internet? Yes, absolutely. Outside of that, you can probably get some clout on some Minecraft skids by DDoS in their Fortnite servers. DDoS is the graffiti of our industry. Do you like Burp Suite or OWASP Zap? I think they both have their purposes. Is the MacBook good for cybersecurity? Any computer is good for cybersecurity. We'll let that ad break start in 56 seconds, and then I'll kind of rant a little bit for the 3 minutes that the ad break is going on. And then I'll come back and get on a couple soapboxes. Let's see what I can do in 44 seconds. For those on Twitch, we do have an ad break that's starting in 40 seconds. I won't get on any soapboxes for the next 40 seconds. That way we don't isolate anybody who's hanging out on an ad break at all. Holy shit, it's been 2 hours already. Yes, it has. Isn't it amazing? I love it. This is why I love Fridays. This is why I love Friday streams. And I appreciate everybody who tunes in on a Friday. I appreciate everybody who makes these Friday streams happen. It's not to say that I don't love streaming with Jason, and I do love streaming with Jason. I do love our streams with Bobby. I want to do, I had it in my head that I wanted to do some AI streams this week, during the week. I couldn't pull myself to getting my shit together and organized to make it happen. And I know that's nails on a chalkboard to Beard, who constantly tells me, just go do it, Neal. Yeah, I know. But, I do want to do more of it. Am I not supposed to see like a little box on my screen, Beard, that says ad break is running? Isn't that supposed to happen? This is a great point right here. Too busy playing WoW. I am starting to play more WoW, in addition to some of the other stuff I'm doing, which reminds me, yes, we do have a WoW channel in Discord. If you're a World of Warcraft player, There are a few of us that are going to, excuse me, I've been talking for 2 hours. I'm going to babble about a bunch of stuff while I wait for this ad break to start and finish. If you're a WoW player, there I see the ad break. Ad break in progress, ends in 3 minutes. Cool. We got 3 minutes while certain people are watching ads. Midnight's coming out next year. New WoW expansion. Maz and I have been contemplating trying to put a semi-serious team of WoW players together, not full-blown raid capacity. We're thinking about maybe 2 teams of 5, 1 team of 5, whatever we can manage to squeeze together. And again, like we're not talking like CE, right? Cutting edge level of rating or anything like that. We're talking about a chill group. Listen, it's an opportunity to come hang out with me. Kind of off stream. Sorry, I got a little crazy after that last rant. As Maz will tell you, Panzer will tell you, like hanging out, like there's always delays between, dungeon runs and queues where people ask me advice and questions all the time. And so it's an opportunity to come and hang out and, just be around a circle of cybersecurity professionals while it happens. And so, yes, we are thinking about doing some more WoW stuff. Consider it a community thing, right? We've got a Cyber Insecurity guild, so you can come in. We've got, the new housing stuff. Maz and I have got, plots in a relative area where we, have got an opportunity to expand for other Cyber Insecurity folks inside of WoW. So absolutely. Actually, the co-working streams, I'm actually going to go back to co-working next week. Bobby did an excellent job this last Monday of showing up while pre-roll was going. He landed in the green room and his mic worked when we hit go. So that was kind of like my cool. He's got the process down, type of behavior. So I'm going to go back to co-workings on Monday. Now that Bobby seems to be in the groove of that. I do absolutely want to bring back the co-working streams. It won't be as late as next year. Where's the hacking golf channel? Working on that too. There's the best place for the golf content, if you're super interested in getting golf content from me, the best place for the golf content is actually my Instagram. We're in the process of building a gym out now, and that gym is the primary focus of that gym is to be more frequently active on doing golf specific workouts. Between that and the simulator, there will be more Instagram golf content as well. All right, cool. I think the ad break's over. Welcome everybody back who came back from the ad break. As you can tell, we've tried to be a little bit cognizant of the unfortunateness of Twitch forcing ads on everybody. Trust me when I tell you that Beard and I spend an exorbitant amount of time looking over the Twitch settings to make sure that we minimize ad time for everybody. To that end, we usually run. So that's why we have like an 8-minute behind the scenes for anybody who cares, right? We run an 8-minute pre-roll. We set our ads to run 5 minutes of ads in the beginning of the stream. The reason we do that is so that we pad our stream with 8 minutes of pre-roll to force ads run during that 8 minutes of pre-roll so that we can go 2 hours. We can go 1 hour without pre-roll ads. We can't control it after that. We can go 1 hour without pre-roll ads, and we can go 2 hours, I think it was, or maybe it's 1 hour without hard ads. And then we've capped the ads at 1 hour. Oh, that's what it is. We capped the ads at 3 minutes. 3 minutes every 55 minutes because of that. So that's we do that so that we can try to minimize the amount of ads that happen. Now, that's as much control as Twitch gives us. YouTube gives us even less. Like YouTube gives us none. That's our promise to you. Like we're not here, like we do not care about ad revenue. I said it before, I don't take a dime from this stream. Every penny that we earn on this stream, every penny goes back into the community. I promise you that. I don't want your money. I don't need your money. I don't care about your money. Keep it, do something awesome with it. But if you decide to give it to us, know that we're going to put it back into the community. Discovery is hard. Discovery on any of this is super hard. This is why if you're looking to help out, like if you like the content we put out, if you support the content we put out, instead of paying for subs, please don't pay for subs, but instead of paying for subs, go to social media. Go be a voice for this stream and this content out on social media. Like if you want to help, that's where I could use your help. Right? Because discovery is hard on any streaming content platform. Right? Discovery is just hard. Yes, by not feeding into the Twitch monetization engine, Twitch punishes us. The reason I ask you to chat is because Twitch is punishing us for having lurker viewers. Twitch, hear me when I say that. Twitch punishes streamers because you all don't participate in chat. Twitch assumes that we are view botting because you don't participate in chat. So if you want to help, if you like the content, I'm not asking you to do it at all if you don't like the content, but if you like the content, like, comment, share, follow me on social media, interact with my post on social media, drive more viewers here because we do. We take a lot of hits. We don't play the algorithm the way that we could to maximize our discoverability. We rely solely on people like you to promote this channel. We have nothing but organic viewers here. Yeah, what Beard said. Like that's what we've discovered over the last month of playing with this is that their fix for view botting is to just not count lurkers. Right? So, it is what it is. We've been streaming for 5 years. We'll be here for 5 more now that I'm cancer-free. Well, relatively cancer-free. We currently have scheduled streams Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We do co-working streams embedded throughout that, and I would like to bring more in the evening. TBD. Would you want to explore how to build your own tool chest? Absolutely. I think this is Duke Norris, I love this concept right here. All right? I think everybody should build their own tool chest. Kali is a fantastic starter toolbox. Right? That's like the Mattel starter toolbox. Right? Where you're like, oh, cool. You know, look at all these tools I got. This one's got an orange handle. Right? Fantastic starter toolbox. But what I would tell you is that most mature, Hyperwork, thank you so very much. Hyperwork, I appreciate you. Good time zone to you. I always love seeing you in chat. You're the best, man. I think that there's a maturity curve to tools, right? I used to always, when I pen tested, I kept a VM that had Kali on it, and I definitely used it. I kept a Windows VM that had Kane Enable on it, and I definitely used it. But I also had an Ubuntu VM where I did a lot of custom work, And when I say a lot of custom work, it wasn't just like custom coding. It was like I would have my own forks of Nmap, or I'd have my own forks of Metasploit, or I'd have my own forks of something else. Right? And so like I do think that there are certain folks who keep the Mattel toolbox that they had when they first started in the industry, and then they start to build their own tool chest that has everything else. And I think that that's a maturity curve. I don't think that that's a function of whether you're an expert, not an expert, whether you're, a pro or not a pro. I think it's a maturity thing. I think at some point in time you mature out of like, I don't need all of that. As a matter of fact, a lot of that is just distraction. I only need a handful of stuff. And I think that's that becomes a preference thing, but I think everybody should build their own tool chest. I have a belief, and I'm starting to see organizations adopt this. And again, this is going to piss off my anti-AI folks, right? If you haven't already, go download LM Studio. LM Studio. You don't have to. If you've got Claude, if you're a Claude user, you'll see this in Claude. Both Claude and LM Studio allow you to attach MCP servers as an IDE function. When you start attaching MCP servers, you realize that you can natural language speak to a model, and the model will interact with the MCP server to go execute things, right? I have a belief that if you imagine a security team, if you imagine a SOC team that has their SIM as an MCP server, has their EDR as an MCP server, has Jira as an MCP server, right? All these MCP servers, I think you will find that the new way of cybersecurity people interacting with tools is an IDE and MCP servers. And if you extrapolate that to the offensive security side, I don't think that it's unfounded that the new level 1 pen tester, the new junior pen tester, the new junior red teamer that exists out there will interact with an MCP wrapped security tool to do their offensive security. You may not like that answer, and it may grate on your nerves as a purist. And that's fine, but I can tell you that is how the future will interact. That is how the future will interact with tools. Mark my words. All right, let's see here. Looking at the questions, I'm looking to see if there's any Yeah, rather than that tool's particular GUI. Absolutely fix it. Yeah, that's what I mean, is like they'll interact with a model GUI instead of that tool's particular GUI. A 1,000% this. 1,000% this. I've been reading a lot about Anthropic's skills tool that they've dropped in their AI-driven development tool set for MCP. But listen, Anthropic just donated MCP to the Linux Foundation this week. Google has doubled down on their MCP support. It really feels like the AI industry is moving towards MCP as a standard protocol for interacting between models and tools. If we assume that that's the direction, that is directionally true from an adoption perspective, I think we'll see this within the next 12 months. We'll see this problem solved in the next 12 months. But listen, and again, I'll say it before. Prompt injection, prompt engineering is the SQL injection of the modern day AI era. You want to go learn some hacking stuff in the modern AI era? Go learn SQL injection, or excuse me, go learn prompt injection, go learn prompt engineering. Model context protocol will be the translation protocol, just like TCP/IP, right? Just like SSH. That'll be the translation protocol that exists between LLMs and tooling. Go learn MCP, go learn how to hack it, go learn how to break it. Those two things, if you're looking for two skills to walk away from this stream, that you can be prepared offensive and defensively for tomorrow's cybersecurity realm, those two things. Absolutely. All right. I think that'll do it for today. We ran over just a little bit. Listen to me. Listen to me. This industry is the most fun I've had in my entire life. It is rare to go through this type of technological transformation. I was in computers in the 90s. I saw the AI boom. I was unfortunately there for the first AI bubble. And I've been in cyber ever since. So this will be the second time that I've watched tech change around me. So let me share a piece of advice from you for somebody who's watched two spikes in the tech industry. This will be the most exciting, scary, and frustrating time of your career. We are at the front of the hype cycle. Everything is the greatest thing since sliced bread because we're at the beginning of the hype cycle. Everything is true because we're at the beginning of the hype cycle. It will be in every conversation that exists. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. It is here to stay. But what I can tell you from living through the dot-com bubble is just like the AI bubble, AI will still exist on the other side of the AI bubble. This isn't like the crypto bubble, right? Where crypto kind of died out and nobody really talks about it much anymore for the most part. Web3, we saw that kind of come and go. AI will exist on the other side of this. Like I said early in the stream, there's no putting it back in the jar. There's no putting AI coding back in the jar. Right? Just like any wave, it behooves you to ride it. The more skills that you develop on this side of the hype cycle, listen to me very, very carefully. The more skills you develop on this side of the hype cycle, the more valuable those skills will be on the other side of the hype cycle. So what I think you need to focus on is not the hype, but focus on knowing as much as you can on this side of the hype cycle. Because when the bubble pops and we get to AI's final version post-bubble, that's going to be the time that we're going to see what it looks like in the future. Right? Go learn it. Go adopt it. I'm not saying replace your learning. I'm not saying don't go get hands on keyboard. I'm not saying don't improve your cognitive base. Like, this doesn't change. If you enjoy, listen, one of the things I think we get caught up with, right, is if you enjoy cyber, you're going to learn it. If you just want to make money, you're just going to go chase certs. Both paths lead you to financial freedom in cyber. Both paths lead you to financial freedom in cyber. But those of us who truly love cyber, Beer and I were talking about this pre-stream. If you genuinely love something, you're going to go out and learn it. Is there a way that AI can just tell you the answer? Absolutely there is. And that's not, you can't put that back in the box. But also, you can't make people learn the way that you did. Think about that for a minute. How many of you came into this industry and had some old hat in this industry tell you, well, you've got to go do help desk because that's what I did? And how many times has that pissed you off? because you're like, no, this isn't 20 years ago. I don't have to go do help desk. I can go into cyber. This community is full of people. Sonic at the beginning of the stream is a perfect example. EMS to cyber. Right? It's the old way of thinking about things. So if you're saying, I'm not going to do AI because I want to be hands-on everything, then you're missing the point. You're missing the point. The point of AI is to help you. It is to make you faster. It is to make you faster. That's what I want you to use AI for, is I want all of you to be faster. I want all of you to be smarter. I want all of you to crush this current iteration of cybersecurity people who think that they need CEH, who think that they need OSCP, people who think that they need CPTS, right? I want you to show those people that old way of thinking, that old mentality is just plain wrong. And I want you to go out there. I want you to do awesome shit. I want you to do it faster. And I want you to smoke these fools. I want you to smoke these fools. That's my hope for you. Help desk is a nice intro, but for your own sanity, don't stay in it too long. Absolutely. With that being said, I love you guys. You guys are freaking amazing. Stay awesome. We'll see you Monday for the threat brief. Whether you're on the red side or the blue side or still deciding, keep learning. And we'll see you next time.
Take anything for granted, I cannot settle. Lately I feel like I've been under pressure, it's now or never. Yeah, the stormy weather leads to sunny days, and lately I've been trying to flip the page to the next chapter, to the next phase in my life. Now I've been feeling great, but the hard times always come and go, catch you by surprise with no signs to show. Always hit me at the worst moments, but that's the only way I could grow. Pops told